What's going on, everyone? I'm Aaron Tremblay, and today's video is going to bore you immensely. Well, that is unless you care about data and things like pictures and videos that maybe you can't replace and you want to make sure that they're protected from loss, then maybe I would watch a little bit of this video and hopefully get an idea on how to back up your data for that inevitable day when a hard drive fails or a memory card fails, or maybe you just lose something, then you have a backup because you watched this video. And if that does happen to you and you're able to save some of those priceless things, then that's all I could ask for, and I'm super glad that this video helped. So with all that being said, let's get started. Go Bills. All right, so the best way that I could think to illustrate this whole thing was to just kind of draw it out. I'm gonna try and draw it on here and hopefully make the words big enough so you can read it and maybe follow along a little bit, but I don't know, we'll give it a shot. We'll see how it works out. Essentially, I've adapted this method to work with both my personal stuff. I use it at work. I'll kind of give you the bullet points and then I'll explain those a little bit. Everything starts with my archive system, and I went over this in detail in my last video. If you haven't seen that, I will link it somewhere up above here. You should probably go check that out. It's really important. It ties into this whole process, so it might be helpful to see that and see how I archive and organize all of my projects, and then that way you kind of can follow along a little bit better. So check that video out real quick. Typically do all my work from an external hard drive, or usually it's an external solid state drive, which are pretty cheap these days. And I know working from an external solid state drive might sound like I only have it in one place and then that drive could fail, but I have a little trick up my sleeve. I use a service that you might have heard of, and I think a lot of people have. It's called Backblaze, and it's one of the best for Mac specifically. That's why I use that particular one. Plus it's like $6 a month for, I don't know, I think unlimited storage, unlimited backup storage, and you can back up an external drive, including your computer. So that's where this comes in. Work from an external drive, and then I have Backblaze doing a cloud backup of my computer and that external hard drive just basically continuously. So that's why I have it in a second spot at that point. Plus, I've already had the original footage and everything stored in my archive, which again, go watch that other video. And then so I do all my work on that external solid state drive. Once I'm done with that project, like I'm not doing anything else with it, that's when I move it from that external solid state drive onto its actual archive location. And for you, I mean, that could just be a really big hard drive that you have, like 8 or 10 terabyte, whatever you want to do. Those are also getting pretty cheap these days as well. Or it could be a RAID system, which is awesome. It's a redundant array of independent disks. You can have 2 of them, you can have 4, 8, basically just makes mirror images on those different drives. In theory, not all of those hard drives will fail at one time. It'll usually be one, you get notified, you replace it. Anyways, look up RAID drives. You can find better explanations online than I could give. So now my big hard drive that I have, that I transfer everything to, that I archive from, I actually have that backing up to Dropbox. And I'll explain how I do that in just a minute. I transfer that to my external drive, which is always mirrored on Dropbox. So essentially, because I'm doing that, it's now in at least 2 places. I have it on that actual physical drive, and then it's also mirrored on Dropbox. So it's in 2 spots at that point, but also I will actually offload years, like depending on how much data is there. I don't like to go bigger than a 2 terabyte drive, and I'll put like 2017 to 18 on that 2 terabyte drive and store it away. And I basically never really use that drive. If it's a bigger year and I going past 2 terabytes pretty quickly, I'll do just half of 2019 on there. That's fine, and then I just label it on the outside. I dump batches to 2 terabyte drives. And of course, that may change as we get cameras that record higher quality footage and take up more space. That's the beauty of this system, is nothing is size specific. It's all very fluid. So as the future comes and that new Canon camera comes out with 8K, EOS R5, some of you know what I'm talking about, then those files are gonna be massive. So 8 terabytes, maybe 3-4 years from now, or maybe even this summer, is not gonna seem like enough space. I'm gonna need something much larger. So the numbers really don't matter. This system, can accommodate drives of any size. So that's the beauty part of it. Now, a quick disclaimer, I have to say that this works for me. Take this, take pieces of it, do the whole thing, kind of mold it, make it work for yourself. Nobody's responsible for your data or for your backups except for you. So this is something that you have to make work for yourself. If this works for you, great. If pieces of it do, if you need to add or take things out, awesome. But I think doing this will just help you, get an idea and make sure that your data is backed up in more than one spot. So make it your own. All right, so I'll start with the illustration with the beginning, with the footage, getting it all on the computer, and then kind of how I organize that. We'll start with the Hey, are you still recording? Yeah, I'm still working on it. Oh, shoot, okay. I just need this room when you're done. Okay, yeah, no problem. I should be done 5-10 minutes maybe. Okay, all right. I'm just gonna go get lunch then. Okay, cool, sounds good, yeah. Do you mind just closing the door? Yeah, sure, I got it. Thanks. All right, see you later. All right, where was I? Oh, right, computer. Hey, do you want anything from Chick-fil-A? No, I don't. I'm good, thank you. Go. All right, have fun. Where was I? Oh, right, the computer. So here is where it all begins, the footage, and then I put that onto the computer. So I'm under a really bad computer here real quick. So all of it goes on the computer and then also is on my external solid state drive. I will put everything pretty much straight onto here. Sometimes I'll work from the computer as well, but usually I love to stay on these external drives because then I can take it to any other computer that I might want to use. Edit from that external drive, get everything done, boom, final projects, I'm all done. Next step is I take that external drive and I will plug it into my bigger archive drive. It's an 8 terabyte drive. So then I put all of my footage here. This is my archive drive and I take that entire folder, all of that gets dropped over here. What's awesome is this drive I have hooked up to just an iMac that sits at home, and that drive is actually where my Dropbox folder lives. So the cool thing about Dropbox is you can actually tell it where to have the Dropbox folder. So what I do is I make it live here. And then what's awesome is this 8 terabyte drive is a lot larger than my iMac. I think it's got maybe a terabyte internal. So I've got 8 terabytes of space on here, and everything that's on here automatically is getting synced with Dropbox. And before I delete it off of this solid state drive, I make sure that the Dropbox is synced and it's up to date so that everything's in 2 places before I remove it from another. So this is connected to my iMac. Let's do the little Apple logo right there. There you go. Here's the stand. So everything's, and then the screen there. Cool, that's a really, really terrible iMac. I'm not an artist, so excuse the drawings. That's an iMac. If you can't tell, it's an iMac. So I basically have that running. Once this is all up to date and I know that the Dropbox is synced, then I can go ahead and delete the footage from that external solid state or from the computer I was working on if I'm working from a laptop. So I have backed up here and then I have it backed up here. I will try to draw a really quick, simpler version. So here is archive folder, and this is where everything lives. That one folder, literally everything from that project is in there. Solid state drive, so everything's on there. And then once I'm done, then I transfer it to, oh, and also should be mentioned that this solid state has a cloud backup on Backblaze. Once I'm done with that, then I transfer it to that bigger archive drive. My archive hard drive, which again, remember that is where my Dropbox folder lives. Now we have it on the hard drive and it's mirrored to Dropbox. So then I'll go ahead and delete it from that solid state drive because that's kind of a working drive. And then from here, remember we have those smaller hard drives and they'll have, 2018 and 2019 and then maybe 2015 through 2017 because I didn't do much that year. So now I have it in at least 3 different places, which may be overkill, but I don't think so. So that is essentially it. Hopefully this makes sense. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer any of them. Also, if you know anybody that could benefit from seeing a system like this, or maybe you think needs to back up or have a better system, please share this video. Give it a thumbs up, it does help. Also subscribe if you haven't already. I plan on putting out a lot more video content this year. 2020 is gonna be awesome. See you next time.